Oh dang, I hope nobody says Dracarys.
Easy, everyone. Every dragon has a weak spot.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one, Chief. Oh man! Hey yo, Chief! Get over here, I want to show you something. Well, hello, Master God. How may I serve you? You ever heard of the game Raid Shadow Legends? No, I haven't heard of this. Well, let me tell you about it. So I was just like all of you. I didn't care for mobile gaming, but then I was turned on to Raid Shadow Legends, and I am actually extremely impressed. It is an ambitious project that is brand new, and it's just changing the whole game. It has great gameplay, a sweet story laced with sweet quests, fantastic looking 3D graphics, has a plethora of champions you can unlock and customize, which I'm gonna spend a lot of time on that because I love customizing characters. You want giant boss battles? You got it. You want to do PvP? You got it. So check this out. Raid has a special launch tournament that's going on right now and it's growing exponentially. So go to the description and download Raid through my link and you'll get 50,000 silver immediately. And the best part is you'll also automatically be entered into the special launch tournament where you can compete with me and other players for in-game prizes and physical prizes, like physical prizes that you can touch. Oh wow, that actually sounds pretty sweet. Yeah, why are you still here? Get out, man. It's done. We're good. Go. What a loser.
Supreme victory!
Hey, what's going on, everyone? I wanted to rant today about the last season, season 8 of Game of Thrones, because yeah, it's got to a point where I want to vent too. I've seen a lot of people ranting, a lot of people making videos. I haven't really checked any of them out because, to be honest, I've been very busy, and I also don't want to mirror anybody else's opinion. So I'm just gonna talk about what's been swirling in my head, and you know, maybe some people have missed some things. Maybe I'm gonna miss some stuff. So basically, this is gonna be very fresh, and hopefully I can offer some insight or some things that maybe you didn't think about either. Because yes, let's not get it twisted. I'm disappointed too, overall. Now, one of the reasons why I waited so long to say anything at all, and one of the reasons why I may not be as disappointed as most people, is because of the little hints that we had before the season even started. Knowing that the last season was only going to be 6 episodes, even though the episodes are a little bit longer, you kind of already knew that they were in a rush, and they were gonna try to tie up a bunch of loose ends in 6 episodes when there's so many different angles going on in this show. You kind of knew that there was gonna be some disappointment, some things left out, some things are gonna be rushed, and then people are gonna be like, oh man, you know, people were hoping that their expectations weren't going to be subverted, but in this case, it was inevitable. And the other hint was what the cast members were saying.
Are you happy with how things ended? Yes. She didn't say yes. You didn't say yes.
Best season ever!
If you could describe the season finale of Game of Thrones in one word, how would you describe it?
Disappointing.
Disappointing?
Some of the stuff that was said was kind of like what Mark Hamill was saying, dropping hint after hint, frustration after disappointment about episode 7 and 8, especially 8.
A lot of times I would say to Ryan, we got to think about the fans. And he said, no, we got to think about the story, and we got to think about our movie, which
So because of that, my expectations were lowered, which meant that I would be able to enjoy the season more than other people, because they're thinking like, well, this is the last season, it's got to like be the best thing ever, because you know that's what we want. And I'm like, I know that's what we hope for. We want things to be great like that, but not everything works out that way. Hell, there's a lot of things that don't even reach the conclusions, don't even reach the final season. I mean, when you think about, say, like a show, even though it's just like a sitcom or just a sketch show like the Chappelle Show that only went 2 seasons, when it's like the hottest thing that's to ever happen, and then just Chappelle just kind of, you know, pisses off into the wind. When you think about stuff like that, or you think about the show Soap, you know, which I became a fan of because my mom showed me, there were 4 seasons and it ended on a major ultimate cliffhanger. And I think about, man, what was supposed to happen? So, you know, the fact that the season's even coming to a close is cool itself, you know, like it's one of those things that where, yeah, my expectations are a little bit lowered and I am a little appreciative that they're even going through with it and trying at all. Now let's talk about episode 3, The Long Night, that everybody for the most part was freaking out about. Now I said on Twitter that I really enjoyed this episode, and I said I enjoyed it more than Endgame. And you know, I'm not trying to compare the two. I was just saying these two things that a lot of people are talking about. I'm just talking about I enjoy them almost the way that I would say I enjoy cheeseburgers a little more than pizza. But I really like them both. A lot of people were complaining that they couldn't see. It was way too dark, and I understand it was too dark, but I understand also what the mood that they were trying to set. They wanted it to be too dark. They wanted you to understand what the people that were on the battlefield were seeing, like what they were seeing. And I think they did that to a good enough effect. And I think if it was too bright and if you could see everything, there would have been people complaining about that. Or like, oh, it's pitch black at night, but for some reason I can see everything. That doesn't make any sense, you know? When it comes to fantasy, a lot of times people like to be like, hey, I want things to be more accurate, but then when things are a little bit too accurate or whatever, or things just don't make sense, then they're like, you know, there's just really it's one of those things that you can't be right in this situation because somebody is gonna complain about it whichever way it went. One thing that did annoy me about that episode was that the dragons were, you know, they were pretty much thwarted in a sense because, oh, this windy, oh, it's like a blizzard or something, and they're all disoriented. And all I thought about was, well, all you have to do is just drop down, and then go down to the ground, you know, like maybe not all the way to the ground, but you can fly extremely low and see where the hell you are, and just, you know, because maybe your compass is thrown off. And then as soon as you go down because of gravity, you'll know where you are, and then you can kind of get your position again. And I thought that was kind of dumb. There was other things. Obviously, the other dragon that Jon was riding could have been doing a lot, and he didn't do a lot. Oh, and the plot armor in that episode, a lot of people were really complaining about. You know, like I didn't see any videos, like I said before, but Twitter is unavoidable. Some memes were unavoidable, and I saw a lot of people talking about plot armor. And one thing I've always kind of like been able to suspend my disbelief when it comes to plot armor, because you need to advance the plot. We all know this. If you want things to be very accurate, you're not going to get much of a story at all. I saw some people complaining about the formation of the armies, and I'm saying, hey, I know you want them to be more accurate and you would appreciate that a lot more, but I personally don't care that much when there's ice zombies and dragons flying all over the place. You know, it's not the biggest deal to me now. Maybe a few people should have died, or maybe they should have did a better job at trying to give them a better position to seem like it would be a little bit more believable if some of the characters stayed alive. But there were some things that it's like, okay, man, there's no way in hell you would have survived this. Another thing that bothered me was the undead dragon. They really just kind of really neutered his power when, you know, before he took out the ice wall, just destroyed it, just absolutely obliterated it. And then when you're at that little fort, castle, whatever you call it, he's just kind of like, breathing the fire, and people like Jon Snow's evading it and stuff. And I'm like, okay, come on, guys. Can you do a little bit of a better job? Just a little bit. Like, maybe find a reason. Maybe he shouldn't even be there right there. I don't know, but that's a little bit too dumb. That was a little bit too dumb. It's where it's like, okay, guys, I can only suspend my disbelief so much when it comes to like things like that. And that one was just a little bit too much. Like, this almighty powerful thing. This thing is way too powerful. OP, actually. And then all of a sudden it's like, that dragon should have been able to obliterate that everyone right there, including Jon Snow. But obviously, plot armor, I know. And obviously, just like all of you guys, I was disappointed that the Night King didn't really do anything. He didn't fight Jon Snow, which everybody was kind of like anticipating that. And then Arya is the one that took him out, you know, did that ninja attack. Now, I wasn't disappointed about the ninja attack. She's been training. She's extremely stealthy. Like, I didn't have any problem with that. It was just a little disappointing that there wasn't that final showdown. But at the same time, remember from what I said in the beginning, is they had limited time, so they couldn't drag it out. Like, obviously it would have been better if it went over 2 episodes. 2 episodes would have been good, but they didn't have time for that. So I was actually not surprised that it was thwarted in that 1 episode. We were just all hoping that, at least me, I was hoping that it would have, you know, Jon, at least they would have fought. And then maybe Arya at the last second would have saved Jon's life when the Night King was about to make the final blow. I think everybody would have been satisfied if that were the case. Now let's skip to episode 5, because I think this is where a lot of people really lost faith, because they're like, damn, there's only one episode after this, and there was just so many things that happened in that episode that didn't go the way that people would have wanted, or they just made a lot of decisions that didn't really make sense, and I completely agree. First off, when Varys died, it's one of those plot points that you kind of know what's going to happen. It kind of reminds me of Doctor Strange when he says, oh, I've seen 14 million blah blah blah, and we only won in one scenario, and you already knew, well, obviously he's going to give up the time stone, and then that's going to be the reason why he did it, so it can be that one scenario. It was pretty fucking obvious. It didn't need to be spelled out, especially in Endgame when he's telling Iron Man like one. I'm like, dude, Iron Man is the smartest guy that just figured out time travel, and he can't figure that shit out. So when Varys had to be executed for betraying Daenerys, I was like, oh, obviously she's gonna turn into a mad Targaryen. She's gonna be a mad tyrant, obviously, because Varys, the guy that, you know, wants the good choice and the right choice. He's not about loyalty. He's loyal to the people of Westeros, and he wants everything to be chill. And obviously when he says, I hope I'm wrong, like, obviously you're dying because you're right. It's one of those things where I'm like, well, you kind of spoiled it for me a little bit. I already know that Daenerys is gonna do some fucked up shit, and obviously that's exactly what happened. Tyrion wanted everybody to stop once the bells were rung, and then, you know, Cersei and the armies surrendered, and I mean, that's what happened. The bells were rang, and they were supposed to just stop, but then obviously, like it said, Daenerys was like, just snapped out of nowhere, you know, kind of had no reason to do it, but then she just maybe remembered a little bit of what's happened before and thought, okay, all of you people should suffer now, not just Cersei. You know, Cersei, the one that should have been probably just burnt and killed immediately or something, whatever the case is. No, I'm just gonna destroy everybody, even though nobody did anything to her, and I don't care about all the people, all the soldiers down there, the Unsullied. Like, she didn't care about any of them anymore. All of a sudden she just snapped and became insane, and so I'm like, okay, that's a little dumb. Why would she do that when she was the breaker of chains and stuff? Like, all of a sudden now she just like, fuck everyone. Now I was kind of happy about the Mountain and the Hound duking it out. Like, then that final battle was kind of cool. It was a little bit annoying because it's like, all right, the Hound figured out pretty quickly that he can't pierce him and stab him, and it's not going to affect him. And all of a sudden, like, the Mountain's like choking him out, and then he's still trying to stab him in the chest. Instead of stabbing him in the face immediately, he waits until he's getting his eyes like freaking gouged out to finally stab him in the eye. I'm like, okay, all right, guys, I know you're trying to make it really dramatic, but come on, there was no need for that. Now, I knew that Jaime and Cersei were gonna die together. I knew that was obvious, that was gonna happen. It was one of those happy ending things that they were gonna, a little bit of a fan service type of thing. I knew they were gonna do that. The way they went about it was a little dumb, in my opinion. The fact that Jaime was still alive after being stabbed a couple of times seemed like one of his lungs were ruptured, or it was, you know, it was collapsed, and then all of a sudden he was like kind of cool, and, you know, like, oh, you're bleeding. Like, yeah, you probably would have bled out, but, you know, it's one of those things where I'm like, well, if you wanted him to really survive until he got crushed, they got crushed, maybe he shouldn't have been stabbed so, like, you know, mortally. Like, maybe you didn't have to do that. It's one of those choices you make where it's like, you didn't have to do that. You could have just had him fight clean, maybe get stabbed in the hip or in the leg or whatever, and then all of a sudden then he gets the job done, and then all of a sudden it's not so weird for him to just be like totally fine until they get crushed to death. Now, the main thing that annoyed me was at the very end, they spent so much time with Arya that I'm like, wait, okay, dude, like, I get it. Like, Arya, she's important, but she already had her moment. What's going on with everybody else? Like, especially what's going on with Jon Snow. Where is he? Like, at the very end, the aftermath, while everything is just burnt to the ground, there's ash everywhere. Where is he? What is he doing? What is everybody else doing? Where's Daenerys in this section? I just wanted to see, because they already showed a lot of devastation. I didn't need to see this whole thing with Arya and this horse and that family and all this shit. Like, I didn't care about all that stuff, because I'm like, there's only a limited amount of time. Like, let's divide this time. You know, they showed, maybe they set up Snow versus main Unsullied dude. You know, maybe something like that's gonna happen in the next episode. But all I'm thinking is like, well, damn, like, I just wanted to see a glimpse of what was gonna happen. Now we're waiting until the next episode to see where they're at or whatever just happened, because there was so much chaos and then you showed no one. Like, I'm like, okay, through all the chaos, I would have at least liked to have known where the people were. You know, like it's just, it was really disappointing to where I'm like, damn, I want to see the expressions on other people's faces, not just Arya. Like, I don't care about Arya and the damn horse that much. Like, come on. These things that happen that would normally, like, just annoy us slightly can't be corrected at all. Like, this is it. And that's why I imagine why everybody's pretty angry. But let me know what you guys think. Seriously, I'm really interested. And have a good day, guys. And make sure you check out Raid Shadow Legends. I'm telling you, it's a really fun game. If you're a fan of Game of Thrones, you'll probably like this too. Have a good one, guys.